What is going on, everyone? Welcome to our first of hopefully many draft class strength shows. Let me get this pulled up here. I probably don't need to go this big on the wheel. We don't need to go this big because we want you guys to be able to see a little bit of what's going on. I'll move the wheel around as we do positions. We're going to start from the bottom. Let me make this a little bit bigger. We're going to start from the bottom because leaving kickers and punters, as I think Yankee pointed out last year, no one cares, right? What do we care about kickers and punters? Like, the excitement is at the top. Wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. That's where things get good. And so we are going to do things bottom up. And then I know we have a lot of people who are new in the league. What we are doing then is, so we are going to run the wheel. We're going to go all the way through. Okay? At the end, whoever's in here, we can do a vote if there's one specific position that people want me to rerun the wheel and it's voted on, we can do it. Now, I remember last year we did it, and, sometimes it can get better, sometimes it can get worse, sometimes it can stay the same. Now, obviously, if it lands on, like, a very weak, you have enormous odds that it's going to improve, right? But I remember last year we respun it, and it didn't change one of the times. So just make sure you stay through to the end, because that's what we are going to do at the very end. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Yeah, Yankee, we're doing punter to QB. I shouted you out actually at the beginning. I said that you pointed it out last year that no one gives a shit about the kickers and punters at the end. Let's work our way up. So, that is what we are going to do. And hopefully you guys can see the wheel. I'm trying to have it both. And like I said, I'll move the wheel around as we work our way up the ladder. I'll move the screen around on here. But I just wanted to let all the newbies know, don't just dip right away because you're going to see at the end, because we do like a group vote if there is a position that people want to respin. So without further ado, let's get the first spin underway, man. And this stream won't take nearly as long as the team selection one. We get normal for punters. Cool. And we'll kind of blaze through, the special teams. They're not nearly as, important. We got the first very weak out of the way. Now, considering the odds that I have set up on this, we might not see another very weak off of the wheel the rest of the spin. So, let me go ahead. The next one up is safeties. I know my camera kind of blocks that off. I do apologize. Safeties are what we are spinning on right now. Let's go. Oh, is it going to get to strong? Ooh. Safeties stayed normal. Alright, so I'm going to move this around. I gotta figure out how I want to move this around. Oh, I can... No, I can't do that. I didn't think this through. I'm just gonna have to make the wheel smaller, guys. Sorry. Alright, so next we have cornerbacks. Cornerbacks are up next. I personally need a strong cornerback class. Oh my god, thank God. Let's go. All right, we got strong on corners. What I think is really cool about this draft class wheel too that we do it like this is it kind of also dictates player values for trades, right? If you know that the upcoming draft class is going to be weak in a certain position, and you have a player that's in that positional group, his value just went up. But at the same time, if you have a player you're looking to shop that falls in a positional group that has likely a lot of talent based on this in the upcoming draft, his value goes down. I think it's really interesting the extra levels that we get from doing this. All right, so we're on to linebackers here. Linebackers isn't as important anymore outside of like the middle linebacker because they went Sam and Will. Okay, we got very weak there. So as I say, it's not as important. You're not going to have much help there. I mean, you definitely can get something, but how do I want to do this here? We're going up to interior alignment, so I can go right here. There we go. All right. Those are being spun AF. I don't know what that even means, but all right. Here we go. Interior defensive line. I noticed they changed the name on those too. They were defensive tackles before. But we're getting a very weak there, which, by the way, I did have when I dropped the XP side of it. I know people are going to ask about this. They were, at the time, a very weak because of the overall glitch due to nose tackles. EA fixed that, which shaves 5 overall points off pretty much all defensive tackles, which allowed me to remove that very weak designation. We ended up getting it anyway. I think it's crazy that very weak has a 10% chance. 10%, every time we spin the wheel, has 10% chance of popping up. And it has popped up 50% of our spins. That is wild to me. Wild. I can make the wheel a bit bigger now. Let's go here. All right. We are on to defensive ends. And we are getting a normal. And that's what's interesting. Yeah, normal is a 40% chance of occurring. Strong is 20%. Weak is 20%. Very weak 10%. Very strong 10% chance. That gets us a 100% total there. So nothing crazy in the defensive ends, just normal, which honestly I'm okay with that. I can continue making this wheel a little bit bigger as we continue. So we're now on to interior offensive linemen, and this is again going to be interesting because we do take a vote. If you guys want, we can go back and respin, and we do have... Oh, it didn't stay strong on the interior lineman. That would have been nice had it stayed there. Would have been nice. We do have two very weaks. I don't think anyone's going to care about kickers. So interior defensive line and linebackers, right? The chances of it can't get any worse. Could, only stay the same or get better. So I'm assuming one of those is going to pop up. All right, we are on to tackles. Woo! Oh no, y'all. That's tough, man. D ends was normal, Hunter. I'll move the wheel at the very end. I was just making it bigger so people can see, and then I'll let you guys see the full thing at the end. And if we want to do a respin of one of them, we can. So now it's going to be interesting because now we got tackles are weak and interior defensive line are very weak. Oof. All right, let's move to tight ends. We don't have a very strong yet. I think that's interesting. We're just going to have normal tight ends. Oof, mulligan this whole thing, he says. No, we can't do that. Now, I will remind people, and again, I will show the whole board when we're done. Quarterbacks are locked in at very weak. They're still insanely good. So let's go do wide receivers. Now I'm going to repeat myself. I said I needed good corners, and we had a strong class. I need wide receiver help personally, outside of Drake London. I think I need some wide receiver help. Can we get a strong? Can I pull it? Did I pull it again? Nope, we got normal. All right, running backs, y'all. This is the last real spin other than the vote. Let's go. Of course. Of course. That's how it would work out. All right, let me get this wheel down small so everyone can see it. All right, guys. So, we got the poll coming. Can I assume it's going to be between tackles and interior defensive line? Let's do tackles or D-line. Poll is up right now. Y'all just got to vote. Now, here's the interesting thing about tackles. It went weak, which means technically we could respin it, and it could get worse. That's the whole element to it. Whereas interior defensive line is the safer bet because you cannot get worse. You can only get better. But I understand the importance that tackles have. But I just want to remind you guys, now we got 18 people in here, something like that. We got 11 votes. I'm going to see if anybody else wants to vote real quick. What's interesting is we could have people who aren't even in the league voting. If they're just tuning in randomly, I think that's also kind of funny. But I don't think that's the case. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. The majority of the votes came in right away. We got tackles got a substantial lead over D-line. Enough of a lead that I don't think tackles is going to come back. But I just wanted to give it. We'll do another 15 seconds. I think we have 11 votes here. Which I'm honestly, that's got to be the 11 people who are in here from the league. And it was a last minute thing. I didn't announce it. So I'm happy that, a third of the league showed up on a last minute. Hey guys, here's a stream. All right. So we are going to redo tackles. Let's get down right here. Tackles. All right. We are going to do a couple things. We are going to make this thing big as heck. All right. Y'all ready? Here we go. Tackles. Bro, I told y'all. I told y'all. I can't believe that just happened. I told you guys. I told y'all. That's what y'all. Chroma said, told y'all. That's what you get. I told you guys, man. Nah, Yankee, that won't happen, bro. You know me. I won't let that happen. That is wild. Actually, we can get rid of the board here. Browser screen. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So that is our draft class board. Tackles have now got extremely high premium as far as trade value. Like Nathan said, yep, if you have a good O line, their value just went up. Now the bright side is interior offensive lineman is at normal. We allow position changes along the entire offensive line. So if you do your research on the interior offensive line, you might be able to grab a guy you could switch over to a tackle position. But the physicals needed for tackle versus O-line, interior are different. So, yeah, definitely going to be a very interesting year. I will say the nice thing is that we did get an interior defensive line very weak. And the other, silver lining is tackles were very weak, but at least defensive ends weren't strong. Could you imagine? Could you imagine, y'all, if it was strong or very strong for ends, and then tackles were the other like the complete opposite? But a strong running back class, so running back value just went down. Strong cornerback class, which means you should be able to trade for a corner on the cheap. Hunter, scouting is extremely important in the league like this, but not until like the week before the draft. So like, and when I say a week before the draft, I mean in Madden time frame, right? We will get to draft week, and we will give people 2 to 3 days to go in and like do their own scouting. The reason I say it's not important for before that is because the players aren't even fully scouted. So players are going to just move up and down the board throughout the season. Their scouting is going to change up and down. So there's no point going in every single week and looking at guys who are just going to change up and down. Just go do it at the very end. Yeah, if you can hit on your late picks, like Yankee said, I've seen him hit on a couple fifth and sixth rounders. I hit a hidden dev trade on a sixth rounder, I think, last year. It was a fifth or a sixth as well. So yeah, those are going to be important. But the other thing too about doing this is in a user league, users are so much smarter at drafting than the CPU. It's really, really hard for a guy to drop. So if you're like waiting for a guy, oh, he might slip down the draft, most likely isn't going to happen. But we are going to continue to do things differently. I'm going to just get this out there now since we have everybody here. We tried it last year for our last draft. I really liked it. For the first 4 seasons, we did the whole draft in one night. Took 3.5 to 4 hours. Way too much of a commitment to ask of people. We're going to do the first and second round on the first night because that's going to take a little over an hour. We get through a draft. We get through one round in about a half hour. So we can get about a 1 hour of people's time, which was the same as if they're game streamed. This allows people to negotiate trades for day 2. Yeah, setting your focuses are true. That's not what I meant, but I was just meant like going every single week and looking at them. That's what I meant. I just don't think it's. I just don't see the benefit of looking at guys in week 3 when they've scouted 5%, 10% versus week 16 when they're scouted, 85, 90%. That's all. But we're definitely going to do that this year. So we're going to allow for more trades, which I think is going to make it a lot more exciting because there was hardly any draft trades because there was no time to negotiate. You have your 90 seconds, and we do all our negotiations in the Discord. So it's like your pick comes up, and if your guy's not there, you have no time to really trade. So we're going to add a couple wrinkles to the draft this year. We are going to add a trade timer. So if someone says they're actively looking to negotiate a trade, we'll put like a little timer on them. We'll give them 5 minutes to negotiate a trade with somebody. So, but we'll worry about that when we get there. Here's the draft class board, you guys. Now the trades are going to start to roll in, man. The free agent pool is going to look a little bit different. This is going to, it's really shapes the league a little bit. So, anyway, guys, that is it for the show. Thank you guys for taking the time to tune in. And hopefully we can advance the league tonight or tomorrow. Only got 4 games left. So if you happen to be one of them, try to knock it out. And we'll get this thing going.